What happens when a builder of sales engines, systems, and high growth companies turns its attention to one of the biggest bottlenecks in commercial energy, getting the right equipment to the right project at the right time without all the waste in between? Welcome to Industry Ignited. I'm your host, Dr. Leeanne Aguilar, and today I'm joined by Andrew Stock, co-founder and CEO of Green Raven, a direct-from-manufacturer supplier of power generation equipment and financing. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. So, Andrew, your career spans sales leadership, operations, product management, SaaS consulting, and now commercial energy distribution. Looking back, what threads have connected all those chapters?
Well, I think the most common thread probably is I have kind of an addiction to efficiency. That's the best way I can word that, is looking for whatever inefficiencies are involved in something. Now, it could be, like you said, sales leadership. Okay, well, what's missing, right? Because okay, well, am I hiring the right people, providing the right tools, giving the right training? There's going to be a limited number of things that might be wrong. Okay, so fine. So find where the inefficiency, hire better, train better, lead better, remove their obstacles, give them the right tools. Okay, find that. Or maybe it's operations, your workflow, things like that, or basically anything. That's like kind of always been the common thread, is what is the inefficient thing that's happening, whether it's before I got there or even while I'm there, and then fixing that thing. That would be the most common thread that I habitually try to solve.
Oh, I love that. So an addiction to efficiency.
Yeah.
And were you always like that? I mean, can you see that like even when growing up or in your...
Yes, I don't know, call it a mental efficiency. I don't know. It's always been that way. Yeah. That's, I don't care. I'm trying to think of a spot in my life when I wasn't like that. Now it's just part of how my brain works, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's a bad thing. So that's awesome. Now, you built your early career in staffing and recruiting before making the jump into solar. What did you see in the market that told you solar was the next wave worth betting on?
Well, if you look at, obviously, some of this just comes from age, experience. There's always these cyclical patterns. There's always the next big thing. Right. So for me, I got into the staffing industry during the .com era, the late 90s, rode that wave. That kind of died down once job boards were invented. Having a headhunter, which is what I was, wasn't as necessary. So a lot of people moved over to the real estate market. I didn't. I stayed in staffing, but most of my friends moved over to the next big wave. Then, of course, 2008, recession hits, that dies down. And I remember just watching and thinking, okay, well, hang on, there's all these cyclical waves. What's the next big wave? So a lot of researching, thinking about it, reading stuff, just, I don't know, being a nerd. Seemed, this is back in, I don't remember the year now, 2014-ish, when I was reading a lot of articles at the time about just energy pricings and what's happening on a global scale. That was just seemed obvious that, wait a second, solar is the next big wave. And so I took a gamble. I was a vice president of a global 100 company. So cushy job, base salaries, all that jazz. It's a gamble, but at the same time, it was too cushy for me. I don't work like that. I'm more of a kind of a risk taker kind of guy. So yeah, for me, I just looked at the market conditions, and you always should. You should always look for where's an inefficiency or something that seems unfair or a lack of something and solve the problem. It kind of ties that addiction to efficiency thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that just seemed obvious to me.
So it sounds like you were very proactive, though, and intentional about looking for the next big thing.
Always. Yes.
Yeah. Now, you said you like building or fixing things and watching them blossom. When did you realize that was really your core identity as a leader?
It's funny. I don't think I did. For decades, I used to teach 8th grade American history. So I love teaching people. I always have. I've always just loved teaching in general, right? And then it just slowly it crept up on me over the span of decades to realize that if you combine the skill sets I happen to possess, that, hey, be a good coach, be a good leader, lead from the front, look around the room. Who's got the greatest work ethic in the room? Whoever it is, work harder. Am I going to be there the first and in the last? Yes. Am I going to outwork you? I'm going to outthink you. I'm going to be in that competitive drive. You start piecing all these things together. And before you know it, I looked back, honestly, it wasn't until I was probably 50 years old till I realized, holy crap, I've been like the leader everywhere I go. It wasn't intentional. It just happened, I guess.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, interesting. So that work ethic that you described, being the first in, the last out, is that something you still see today?
Yes, but hands
Yeah.
down, it's
Uh-huh.
it's what I hire for. Like I don't. If let's say I was trying to hire someone for, I'm trying to think of a task. We'll just say it was a salesperson. Okay, maybe I'm selling wrenches. Do I care if you have experience selling wrenches? Not really. What I care about is you have personality, brain, and one heck of a work ethic,
Yeah.
and you have ethics, right? That's it. I don't really care about anything else because those are things I can't teach or I can't build from. So yeah, I'd say pretty much I've always lived by that ethos of always be ethical, always do the right
Uh-huh.
thing. Anyone who knows me will tell you that's how I insist. But yeah, be the first guy in, be the last guy out or gal. Work harder, work smarter, and whoever's the best person in the room, be a little bit better than that person, and
Yeah.
you'll be fine. Yeah.
Now, do you think your experience staffing with the staffing, companies helped you make better choices when it comes to hiring with your firms?
I mean, at first, yes. I mean, I think I did my first job as an official manager over sales teams back in 2000, maybe 2001. Can't remember the year now. I'd already been in staffing for several years at that point, but it wasn't until you actually become an actual manager of people that you start realizing the importance. I'm like, God, it's so underrated. Who you hire means more than almost anything. Yeah.
Right.
I don't even know if it was because I was in the staffing industry. I think it was just experience of making bad decisions.
Right. I know. I think that's just sometimes the best way to learn is just by making a mistake, right?
The wrong people a few times.
Hiring the wrong people. Yeah, absolutely. Now, from scaling small firms to turning around major divisions inside large organizations, what lessons from those earlier transformation roles shaped how you lead Green Raven today?
I think a lot of it is so overlooked operational stuff. Like everyone thinks that operations is boring because it sounds boring, but it's so critical. I'm very methodical, very organized. If you go look at my company's Google Drive and how the folders are organized or how schedules are managed or workflow of or job responsibilities maybe, and where, let's say you're running a team, obviously I have, where I had larger teams and dozens of offices. Well, how does the workflow happen from starting at the very beginning, from marketing all the way through to first contact, to first sale, to fulfillment, to customer support, to delivery? And you start thinking of, okay, what's that smooth handoff look like from it's like that concept I used to think was so boring, like when I was younger, of course. Now it's my lifeblood.
Yeah.
Again, I'm addicted to efficiency. Part of that is also being addicted to what is a customer experience like and how do I make mine better? And what does that operational workflow look like? Both internally, so we as an organization operate better, and from the customer standpoint, what their experience is like. That's all. How well did you build your operational infrastructure? I don't think I understood that when I was younger. So that comes a combination really from working, obviously building many startups to working at a very large global public company. I worked for a few, but I think it's just a blend of experience over time kind of really led me to realize that it's all about that, man, your operational infrastructure and having someone with the brains and to organize it
Right.
properly and analyze it and be smart and gather analytics. There's a lot, man. It's just a lot of it's just experience,
Yeah.
screw stuff up enough and eventually you'll get it right.
So do you use a process management tool?
I've written a lot of CRMs, at least some I've written from scratch, some just like out of the box stuff. I'm pretty big on data analytics, just gathering data, right?
Mhm.
Then what you do with it, or do you take action items from it? So yeah, I'm pretty data centric, I guess you could say, right? So usually that comes from whatever CRM I'm using at the moment, but that helps you identify your inefficiencies,
Yeah.
right? Whether it was the lag time from this call to that baton being passed to the next person in the chain, for example, or maybe it's job cost analysis, which no one pays attention to, which they should. That helps you those data points help you identify the inefficiencies in running any business. So yeah,
Right.
I'm pretty big on that.
How has AI impacted your process flow and
Oh,
efficiency?
God,
I know.
kidding me? From a personal perspective, I worked very hard and very fast. So I've always, I mean, let's toot my own horn, but always felt like I'm about twice as productive as anybody else. But once you kicked AI into it, oh my God, I can do personally the work. I can do 5 times much more. I can do so much more because I do use a lot of, now that's not a personal perspective, right? That could be something dumb like looking for ideas on on marketing campaigns or how to use this particular software tool or whatever it might be. That's on a personal level. So it's put my personal productivity over the top. That's ridiculous. What I get done in a day,
Yeah.
I can manage so much more. On a broader perspective, what I'm looking at for AI is I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still working on it, but it is more from like a marketing management standpoint, customer engagement standpoint. I think the future of, say, AI assistance is pretty big, and I can't wait till I get to that point. I've got a lot of work to do. I see
Yeah.
where it can go, and I'm not there yet.
So many opportunities, and everything is evolving so quickly. It's like,
Only one
by the
guy.
time you implement it, it's outdated.
It's tough, man. I know. Yeah.
So Green Raven is focused on commercial solar and power generation hardware distribution, but it sounds like the company is really solving a much broader supply chain and execution problem. What gap did you see that made you want to build this business?
I think the biggest one is a lack of information from the end consumer. And again, I know not everyone who's listening to this is going to be from my industry, but there's limited information and there's so many gaps in the industry. So for example, most solar companies are small, like really small. In the United States anyways, the industry is very fragmented. You've got over 100,000 solar companies, so well over that
Wow.
actually. There's almost
Really?
20,000 in California. It's immense. And the vast majority of those are what we all call truck in a truck, right? Is the guy with 4 employees and he happens to own a truck. It's a very fragmented industry. So that's your industry right now. They're not sitting on a big stockpile of cash. Right. So for them, everything is like get a project, get it installed, get paid, somehow cover the cost of the hardware of that project. It's a very cash flow. It's a problem.
Mhm.
So the gap I saw was, well, they're all limited to going to maybe 3 different distributors for their materials. And all 3 of those companies, I don't know if I should name drop, but typically their markup is 100% really high. But they can do that because they're offering a line of credit, right? That's the holy grail right there. You go to the distributors out there, the little guys, the guys like myself that are smaller, don't have line of credit. So if you're a little solar company, you have to go through one of the big 3, even though the prices are super bloated, just because they offer credit terms.
Right.
Well, that seems dumb. Wait a second. So if I were to just go and establish my own line of credit, which I did for Green Raven, we can offer name drop. So CED is offering a $500,000 line of credit to its installers. I can offer $1 million line of credit, and mine doesn't put a lien on that end property.
Mhm.
Okay, so but at the same time, I don't have that bloated infrastructure of 400 warehouses I have to pay for with their staff. We don't do that.
Right.
So I'm kind of whittling out. Okay, what are the inefficiencies? Well, get rid of all that infrastructure. You don't need it. It's just not necessary. Offer a line of credit. Reach out to that 95% of the industry that is chucking a truck. All they needed was a line of credit, and now they can buy all of their hardware gets half price
Wow.
because they're not paying for all the inefficiencies out there. And they
Yeah.
still get that line of credit that makes it so their families and them and their employees and their families can do really well without running out of money, which is
Yeah.
an epidemic in the solar industry, right?
Wow.
Companies running out of cash and then collapsing.
Right.
So we're trying to solve there's a lot of gaps, right?
Yeah.
And I think we kind of nailed it.
Yeah. So for people outside the industries, tell us more about the biggest inefficiencies today between manufacturers, finance providers, EPCs, developers, and buyers.
Well, each one of them is going to have a different issue, right? So manufacturers, the biggest problem is they need to be on an authorized vendor list for the finance companies. You got to realize that most of them are not. Now, those finance companies are more or less, how do I word this, in bed largely with the distribution companies. Well, the distributor is only going to offer these, I'll make it up, 10 brands of solar panel. Well, shoot, there's 5,000 brands. So if you're the manufacturer, you're fighting like anything you can to get brand recognition, to get on an authorized vendor list for the finance company, which gets you carried by the major distributors. And they're all kind of bottlenecked right there. Now, if you're the installer, going down that line, you said, so the EPC, you're the installer. Most of them are just going to buy their product from whatever CED offered them, or Solagent, Wesco, whatever that distributor gave them, which is a choice between these 10 brands or 20 brands, whatever. And they have to go through that because of that bottleneck with the finance companies. There's a real bottleneck right in there, right? It's a problem. So the biggest problem for the solar companies is cash flow. They need to find a way to make all of this pencil somehow. But because that loaded infrastructure between the traditional distribution, kind of working with the authorized vendor list, AVL, from the finance companies, causes a bottleneck, which causes artificial price inflation. So now that solar installer who's already struggling to stay in business is paying twice as much for his hardware. So there's that's the problem of this whole thing, right? Is there's a bottleneck that doesn't need to be there. A lot of it driving it right now, today's market, we're in April 2026, is the tax incentives, right? So everyone's trying to get the very last drop they can out of the ITC, the investment tax credit, which means it has to be domestic content. It has to be fiat compliant and not from a PFE. And there's all these requirements, which again cause a market pressure on what hardware we're all allowed to use, which when again, you constrain supply, which is what's happened, that drives pricing way up. So there's a lot of stuff in the industry that are kind of artificial that don't need to be there. That whole tax incentive and all that, non-domestic, blah, 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 that's all going to go away. A year from now, no one's going to give a crap. People are going to be looking at what is the cheapest product on the market that is still a quality product with a good warranty. That's all that's going to matter, which is what we're at Green Raven, what we're preparing for. How do we prepare for a real world of what's going to be a year from now? No one's going to care about fiat compliance a year from now. It's
interesting.
irrelevant.
So the incentives are expiring this year?
Yeah, basically July 4th. Well, the residential projects, that already is gone as of last December. The commercial one for commercial projects goes away. Basically, the job has to be started in some manner before July 4th of 2026. After that, all the incentives are gone, which is going to totally remove that bottleneck that's caused that ridiculously inflated pricing.
Right.
So there's a lot going on in the industry that's going to change. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And are those incentives, are they federal or are they state-based?
Yeah, it's all federal.
Oh, the federal.
100%
Okay.
federal. Yeah.
Okay. So for your taxes at the end of the year, basically, you're getting.
So if you combine that, if you remove the false pressure on the market based on federal tax incentives, and you can marry that with getting an education to the solar installers of, hey, guess what? There's more than those 20 brands on the market. In fact, there's thousands. So let's find you the best product at the best price. And you're going to see this a year and a half from now. All the hardware is going to be half the price of what people are paying today. I mean, I'm already getting half the price. Yeah. Just wait. Once you remove those artificial pressures, what's going to happen to hardware pricing is going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Now, you talk a lot about practical equipment, supply chain reliability, and project execution. Why are those fundamentals still such a major pain point in an industry that has matured so much?
I don't think it has. The industry, you said the industry had matured so much. The industry isn't. I think the industry is a toddler. The inefficiencies in this industry are rampant. It's crazy. I've been a consultant for, I think, 4 different solar companies I've helped build over the years. And every one of them, most of my friends are owners of solar companies. It's rampant. It's bad management. People who are, again, you're the owner of a solar company, we'll call it Chuck in a truck, which is the vast majority. They're not gathering analytics or job cost analysis. They think, getting a building permit in such and such county is $400. Not really, because in addition to that building permit, the structural engineering stamp, the electrical engineering stamp, resubmittal fees, blah, 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 that's actually $1,500. You got to think in the mind of, wait, we're doing 20 of these jobs a month, and that's just that. Then you go install a job. You think, we can install it for this kind of cost of labor. Well, they don't know that really you're going to have to do multiple truck rolls with 2-3 guys, let's call it, add up the actual labor cost. So they're not making as much money as they think they are, but they don't gather analytics, job cost analysis, for example. When I say that it's not grown up, that's just one element. And then you look at 5 years ago, the average solar sales guy was making $10,000 on a commission selling a residential solar project. That's absurd. That's just absolutely absurd. Because even today, there's very minimal, if any, regulation on this. Like in real estate, you have to get a license to sell a house, let's call it. Or you have to get a Series 7 if you're a financial advisor. You have to get some kind of, but that doesn't exist in the solar space. So when you're saying now, except for an industry that's, quote, mature, it is not. It is still the Wild West.
Wow. Okay. Still the Wild West.
We all know what the Wild West is and we're in it, but it's getting better.
Okay.
Thank God.
Yeah, yeah.
A
So
lot
it's
of,
not new. It's been around a while, but
yeah,
it's still like you said, it's not very regulated as far as like
right.
who can sell it. There's not any kind of
There is
certification
a
or
lack of
yeah.
education or just
Hmm.
knowledge from this group. This solar company might be great construction guys and do really quality work, but do they know how to use a spreadsheet and do job cost analysis? Probably not. Some
Right.
do, not many. It's still young. The industry is still young and immature. It's got a long way to go.
Yeah. Now, Raven is also providing finance products for installers across solar, storage, geothermal, and commercial generators. How important is it to solve capital access and hardware access together rather than as separate problems?
Well, there's two different pieces of finance. So one would be those solar companies need to be able to finance the projects themselves, right? They need access to finance tools, which are heavily dependent again on the tax credits and subsidy stuff that we talked about earlier. That's a problem. I've pretty much made a career out of networking with people. Literally, that's how I make a living. So a lot of what Green Raven does isn't even not, we're not doing this for money. We do this because it's the right thing to do. Is when I'm talking to this company over here, he says, hey, I really need a finance tool I can use for, I don't know, nonprofits with, blah, 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 this situation. Do you know anybody? Yes, I do. I make that connection happen. I do that all day, every day. It's just who do you know? Who do you know? So I get a lot of those kinds of calls. A lot of it is finance related.
Uh-huh.
So that's one side of financing. And it's really, really important because if you actually ask the average American how they think solar projects are paid for, they think it's all cash. It's not. Right? There's a lot of education that needs to happen in that realm. But even the finance world for solar is still, to me, it's not mature yet. That's the best way. And it's definitely not stable. And the changing tax situation with random tariffs coming and going and whatever is not helping.
Sure.
It's it's very rocky. Best way I can say that. So
Yeah.
that's one side of finance is how do these solar projects get financed to begin with? I do a lot of connecting the dots and people that I know who know people and connect them all and ta-da. The other piece of it is what I alluded to earlier, that line of credit concept, meaning all those solar companies. And like I said, there's a ton. They all think they have to work with CED or Solagent because that's the only way they can get the line of credit to stay in business, which means they think they have to pay literally 100% markups on their hardware because they don't know any better. I need to somehow get that education out there that, you know what, don't let that line of credit problem stop you from cutting your costs in half. It's totally
Hmm.
doable. You just have to find the right Green Raven.
Okay. Right. Right. So you're helping educate people, is what I'm
Yeah,
hearing. And
yeah,
yeah.
that's a lot of it, and it's harder than it sounds. But if I could get the word out that, hey, man, don't be limited to paying ridiculous prices from the
Sure.
traditional infrastructures that are so bloated and inefficient. There's a better way. So
Yeah.
that's the other side of finance. The solar company needs to be able to finance their hardware. That is what we unlocked just a few months ago, that's going to be a game changer for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, like you just said, the current distribution model is bloated and expensive. So, what specifically is broken in the traditional hardware distribution system, and how are you approaching it differently?
A lot of it, well, first, I know I spoke to some of this. Those distributors are having a huge operating cost, right? So this reminds me of a different business I fixed a long time ago where it was a lot of brick and mortar,
Hmm.
which a lot of it just sat around empty no customers, just staff. And I remember looking at that like, wait a second, this isn't 1954. This is dumb. So I shut down a ton of those, consolidated some stuff, just kind of reorged a business model. It's like, okay, this now makes sense. I think that same problem holds true in the distribution model where you've got a lot of warehouses that are unnecessary. They could a lot of now, mind you, sometimes a solar company might need to buy, I don't know, some rails for this one project or a couple of pallets of panels for this one project. Sure. In those situations, just the traditional distribution might make sense.
Hmm.
The pricing is going to be dumb because you're buying such a small quantity, but okay, that kind of works. You're still paying ridiculous prices because you have to pay for the rest of that infrastructure. So a lot of what we're trying to do is say, you know what, for the customers out there that are buying, say, commercial, which commercial solar is rapidly growing. It's gotten insane in the last couple of years. They're not buying two pallets. They're buying 2 container trucks worth. And if they're buying that from a traditional distributor, that's just a lack of information and they don't know.
Mm,
More importantly, if as I think most of them don't understand the options that are on the market, meaning it doesn't have to be one of these 10 brand names that you know because that's what CED carried.
right.
There's 1,000 other products out there. I'm working with one now. I'm not going to name drop, but it's a new manufacturing facility in Georgia. So it's domestic content. The product itself, if you nerd out and go through the data sheet, is significantly better than almost anything on the market. And I can get it at half the price of what the name brands are. And it's a better product. It's tier 1, better temperature coefficient down the line, better product, but no one's ever heard of it.
Sure.
So how do you get the word out?
Right.
There's a major gap right there. How do you get the education to those solar companies that, you know what, but you have more options than you're aware of. And don't let that line of credit thing stop you. There are better products.
Right. Well,
There's
and I think,
there,
it comes down to, like you said, education and credibility with all these options out there. If it's not being sold by one of the big names, then how do people trust it? How do people know that it's a good quality product?
You got to be a nerd and read the data sheet.
Yeah, read the spec sheet for sure. Yeah.
Or just be open to it. Honestly, that's the real thing. Just be open to learning about it.
Yeah. Now, are they offering like warranties and such that will help give some assurance?
Yes.
And,
Now, the one that I'm alluding to, it's a 30-year warranty that includes shipping and labor. Wow. No one does this, by the way. The warranty on a solar panel is just, oh yeah, one of your panels, takes a nosedive, we'll ship you a new one. But you, Mr. Customer, have to pay for the shipping cost and the labor cost to install it, which is way more money than the actual panel itself.
Right.
The warranty from these guys that I'm referring to, that includes all of it. It's not just a replacement panel. It's also the shipping and the labor. That's a big deal. But you, as the owner of a solar company, don't even know this brand exists. That's the thing that's nuts. There's better products at half the price with a better warranty, and you don't know about it. That's my next hill I have to tackle.
So you were mentioning like the tax credits expiring. And so as tax credits and domestic content rules and compliance requirements continue to reshape the market, how are those policy and sourcing pressures changing what commercial energy buyers need from their partners?
I think increasingly, well, at least in the commercial world, they are more open to taking a phone call. A lot of it is just personal contacts because I've been around a while, so I can open some doors maybe. But in the commercial world, because they're buying larger quantities, and they were referred to me by Joe Blow, who knows me, trusts me, has worked with me for God knows how many years, I can get that phone call. They're more open to saying, well, hang on a second, I've never heard of that brand, but send me the data sheet. Those commercial installers typically aren't as limited by that line of credit availability, and they're not buying in small volume. So that's kind of the direction of like what I'm spending a lot of my time on now. It's low-hanging fruit because they're more receptive to options on the market, right? The chuck in a truck, small residential installers, not as open to change, and they don't know, and that's going to be a long haul.
Right. Yeah. So what kind of customers are you best positioned to serve right now, and where are you seeing the strongest demand across solar storage, geothermal, and backup generation?
Well, one of the big ones that I don't know if enough people, I know it's like a buzzword, is like AI, right? Everyone loves the whole AI buzzword. They require a lot of electricity. The data centers, that are running the AI are, oh my God, they use so much electricity. One decent sized data center is enough as like a small city, right? And we're still at the early stages. Where do you think that power comes from? I mean, if you follow the path, there's tons of documentation. You can read it on your own. What happens as the AI keeps growing and that computing power and how much electricity they consume, where's that power coming from? I think that's a big one. I'm very interested in kind of some of the partnerships and calls we've been doing on the geothermal front because they can produce a lot of electricity, very, very low cost. That's an exciting piece. How fast we can deploy, I think, is to like a new data center coming online. That's a problem. There's a big pathway there. Obviously, in the storage is also a big thing. We talk about grid resiliency, which is not great and depends on where you are in the country, of course. I'm sure if you're in Omaha, it's fine. If you're anywhere in California, probably not so fine. So, therefore, batteries become a bigger play. So as Obviously, our electrical grid has gotten older and degraded over time and not been replaced or upgraded. I think you're going to see more and more lack of stability, which is where that battery play is going to come in. We're already starting to see the beginning of that. There's a lot of opportunity for growth.
Hmm.
Uh, I think solar panels, the technology isn't growing by leaps and bounds anymore. It's growing by millimeters. The biggest change there is just going to be opening that supply base globally, so people start realizing, oh, wait a second, there's a lot of really, really good product out there at half the price. That's going to be the big change on the solar panel front. On the storage side, pricing has come way down over the last 10 years. It's been ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
Battery that used to be $30,000 10 years ago, you can now, at wholesale anyways, get that same battery. I had a call today for a lithium ion battery where my cost was $1,200.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's wild. Very
Okay.
significant. Yeah.
That's a big difference. Right.
Big
So
difference. Yeah.
again, when we were talking earlier about how mature the industry was, and I was like, I wouldn't say that. It's very much, it's got a long way to go, but I'm proud to say we're heading down the right path. And I can't even pick a piece of the industry. Like you said, was it solar panels, storage? Is it generators? Is it geothermal? They all have tremendous potential. So it's really hard to focus on one, but we'll see what I can do.
Yeah. So when it comes to these large scale commercial, installations, what percentage of their electricity is covered by solar? How much of the,
Hopefully all.
overall? Okay.
Depends on the footprint, right? I mean, if
Hmm.
we're talking about something small, like let's say it was a church, okay, they're not going to have a ton of land, right? They may not have the footprint to cover everything, but generally speaking, I would say, at least as far as what I've seen, it's all of it,
Hmm.
right? Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, the only limitation is space. And that's when you start thinking, again, I met with a gentleman building a commercial property here in Northern California. Doesn't have a lot of room, but he needs a constant, very high volume of electricity. So the conversation went geothermal, better fit for him. Very small footprint, and
Hmm.
it produces enough electricity to run a city. And it takes a footprint, maybe, I don't know, what was it, 1,200 square feet?
Okay. Right.
There's
Yeah.
solutions out there. They're still kind of evolving in time. But generally speaking, to answer your question, if I had solar on my property, what percentage am I expecting that solar to cover? All of it.
Okay. Right. And are there circumstances where it even feeds back into the grid and then they're getting
Depends
credits
on
for
utility.
that?
Depends. I mean, if you're depends on what state you're in or what
Hmm.
utility you're under, I should say. There are there's a lot, it's called net metering, though, how you're because during your solar is only making electricity during the day. Well, if you're only using that much of it, what happened to the other bit?
Hmm.
Well, you're either storing that into a battery or you're selling it to the utility. And some utilities, it works out great. Like a lot of the markets in Texas, for example, will have a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning if I kicked over, I don't know, make up a number, 500 kilowatt hours of electricity surplus to the grid, then that night when I'm using electricity from the grid, my first 500 kilowatt hours was free, right?
Hmm.
That's a 1-to-1 ratio. In some markets, it doesn't work like that. California, it definitely doesn't. You're going to sell it. I'm personally in Northern California, so it's PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric. Running price probably around 40 cents a kilowatt hour when you're depending on the time of day and all that and time of year. If you're pushing electricity to the grid, depending on time of day, blah, 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 month of the year, you're going to get on average maybe 2.5 to 3 cents a kilowatt hour for the power you give them. But then you're
Right.
buying it back later that night at 40 cents more.
That's insane.
That's nuts. I'm going
Yeah.
to sell you this for $2 and I'm going to buy it back for $40 in about 3 hours.
Right. No, that
That's what
makes no
homeowners are doing.
sense.
Right, which is why you have batteries in California, because no one
Got
wants to
it.
back to the grid. So
Yeah.
the answer, that's a hard one because it just varies by utility and location.
Yeah. And on average, what would you say is the time for return on investment?
Again, that's going to vary on where you are
Hmm.
and how you finance it. If you went with what's called a power purchase agreement, PPA, you're just paying for the electricity the system makes. That's it. So you're literally saving money the first day it got turned on and probably for the next few decades. So there's no ROI discussion. I have read this on Reddit 1,000 times. Hey, what's my ROI on this? How long is it going to take to break even? Depends. Are you paying cash for it? Or are you doing a PPA? Kind of like a lease, if you think of it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm paying cash for it, other variables, what's my utility price? Am I in, I don't know, Missouri, where the average price of electricity is 12 cents? Or am I in Sacramento, where my average price is, maybe 40 cents?
Hmm.
Thinking per kilowatt hour, right? So that payback period wildly varies. Depends on where you are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean,
Now,
is it
when
a
you
bad idea? Never. I can't even imagine a place where it's not. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
so when you look at the competitive landscape, what will separate the winners from the companies that struggle over the next few years?
Building better relationships. Well, let's break that up. If you're referring to my industry, distribution, build really good relationships. That's a big piece of it. Because if I'm working with some company that I found on an ad, I clicked on LinkedIn, they're out of whatever random country, and it's just because I saw a price that looked really appealing and I bought it. Okay. Do you have a relationship with them? What if you get that pallet and some of it's broken or it didn't show up on time? Or I've had this happen where the first half of the top of that pallet was the correct product, but the bottom half was some other brand, right? That's happened before too. So,
Really?
oh yeah, I know. So when you call your distributor who sent that to you, do they answer the phone? Do they solve the problem?
Mm,
Will they take a loss on something just to make things right?
yeah,
Probably not if it's some rando you found on LinkedIn. Whereas if you were working with Green Raven, you're just going to call me or you're going to call Jason or you're going to call somebody on my staff, and we're going to make it right. So I think that that's a big differentiator in terms of in my industry is, are you responsive?
mm,
Are you responsible? Are you going to just do the right thing? Even if it means you kind of take it in the shorts a little bit every now and then, it's okay.
right.
You do the right thing. I think that's a big differentiator in my world. Now, from the other side of it, when you look at solar installers, for example, it's such a hot mess. We were talking about how immature the industry is. Those that are out there that I've got a friend of mine who owns a solar company just east of San Francisco, and he knows how to read spreadsheets, do budgets, do job cost analysis. He's a true businessman. I mean, he really, really runs a well-run company because he knows what he's doing. That's going to differentiate. That's why he's been in business for 17 years and probably still will be, right? Whereas a lot of solar companies come and go. So from the solar installer side of the business, those that make it are those that actually have someone on board who knows what the heck he's doing or she's doing, right? And a lot of them do not. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of solar companies fold right now. So those are two different industries, right? I'm not the installer, but I do know what they need to work.
Right.
I'm a distributor and I know what they need to work too. Good relationships, right?
Yeah.
That sounds so lame. I get it. But that's what it is.
But it's true. Let's hope it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Now you've built companies, fixed companies, and helped scale teams repeatedly. What is different about building your own company versus helping someone else grow theirs?
I don't have a security blanket. There is no safety net. That's it, right? When you're brought on board as a, I don't know, managing director or whatever company, whether it's temporary or permanent, whatever, yeah, you probably have a nice cushy base salary, right? You've got a comfort zone. You can make mistakes. You'll still have a job next week. When you're doing your own thing, as I am, there is no safety net. So I think the majority of people are probably too risk averse
Right.
to do this, which I can tell you that my ex-spouse is definitely in that camp or did not like the level of stress I'm willing to take
Yeah.
because I'm okay operating in that gray zone where there is no certainty. That's the biggest
Right.
difference. You have to
Yeah.
do this. You're going to have to be bravery.
A lot of risk, but on the other side, flip side, the potential for great rewards as
That is
well.
correct. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed some rewards too. Yes.
Yeah. And then there's, I mean, what I love is like the flexibility. I can set my own schedule. I have
Yeah.
I can be creative in what I focus on and, how
And then I can make mistakes
diversify.
and it's going to hurt, but I'm also going to learn from it. And then from what I just learned, I'm going to make more money from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just that willingness to accept risk and the freedom of it. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's definitely not for everybody. If you're
Not for
looking,
everybody.
trust me, my mom has been telling me for 20 years, Andrew, I wish you would just go get a real job.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Like, Mom, that's not me. You got to know me by now.
Now, you've emphasized the power of relationships, phone calls, and real networking in a world that often defaults to automation and text-based communication. Why do you think that human connection still matters so much in business development?
It's kind of like what I was just saying a minute ago, meaning if something goes wrong, and it just will. You're going to get the wrong product, not shipped to the right place, shipped to the wrong time. They didn't give you as much as you had ordered, and you got a whole crew on a job site, and everything's going sideways on something. You need to be able to call somebody and talk to them.
Yeah.
And you need to have faith that they're going to pick up the phone and solve your problem, right? I'll not call out the distributor that used to always insist that, this is back when I was running a solar company, everything had to be delivered straight to the job site. And we'll call it 15% of the time, I got the wrong materials, not delivered to the right place, not delivered at the wrong time. There was always a problem.
Right.
Now, if all I could do was text somebody for oh my good Lord, I've got 7 guys on a job site I'm paying right now, right? I need a resolution right now. I'm not emailing you for resolution, right?
Exactly.
That's why it's important. So when you're doing business development, it's the same thing. Let's say I was a sales guy, which obviously I used to be, why would you buy from me?
Hmm.
Probably because, I don't sound pushy or salesy, and you can always get me on the phone. Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
always.
Right.
That's what people buy. It's not because I had a really cute marketing funnel on Facebook, or I auto responded or auto texted, or nothing wrong with drip campaigns. I get it; they have their place, but no one's going to build, buy long term from you or work with you in a long term on a larger scale to help you scale your business if you're solely reliant on that. That also speaks to a generational thing. I recognize I'm obviously in my 50s, where I grew up in a world where, yeah, you call people and you talk to them on the phone. Whereas a lot of the employees I've had that are 3 decades younger, they don't call you. Everything has got to be an email or a text. I don't know if they're afraid of the phone. They didn't grow up building relationships. I'm not sure what the generational gap is, but it's a real business problem. I've had this
Yeah.
conversation with many of my friends for many, many years. Yeah, what a failure.
Yeah,
Pick up
it is. And no, you're right. It is a,
the phone, man.
yeah, yeah. Where we used to fight for the phone, right? To get a
Right.
chance to call our friends or whatever. And now they're like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to call you. It's like, I'm going to Snapchat you or, text you or whatever.
Hey, if it's something simple like pick up milk on the way home, send me a text. That's fine.
Sure, sure. Right. Yeah. If you're in a meeting, don't want to be interrupted or it's
Sure.
not time sensitive, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, that phone call and relationships and just, I mean, it's
Hey, man.
cultivating trust, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. So, final question, Andrew, as you look ahead, what's your broader vision for Green Raven? And what advice would you give to entrepreneurs or commercial energy leaders trying to build something meaningful in a fast changing market?
Be informed. Honestly, that's such a vague answer. I know. Obviously, today's world is all about tax credits and blah, 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 blah. I know everything I could possibly get my hands on because this is what I do when I'm not actively working is I'm reading about fiat compliance and whatever tax situations and what manufacturers and how the components work. And I need to be informed. So that'd be one, learn your market. Whatever your industry is, learn it inside and out. Gather data. I mean, for God's sake, if you're an installer, job cost analysis matters. It just does. You need to know where the holes in the boat are. If you're not doing job cost analysis, you have no idea. You're just guessing. I've seen that a ton of times, and I don't get it. Gather data points, make decisions based on data. And if you don't know how to, then hire someone who does. That's probably the best saying. That's part of staying informed. Be informed.
Right, right. Data started knowing your numbers exactly,
Yeah.
and be informed. That's
Yeah,
great
for sure.
advice. Andrew, thank you for joining me. How can
Yeah.
listeners learn more about you and Green Raven?
Well, obviously, anyone could go to our website, which is just gogreenraven.com. There's tons of info on the company. Obviously, you can schedule a call with me. I was probably one of the very first LinkedIn users. Well, actually, I was ever.
Wow.
So I'm very easy to find on LinkedIn, except I talk to almost everybody. So one of my mentors told me a long time ago, accept a call from anybody. You never know where it's going to lead you. And I do. So anyone could reach out anytime.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to Industry Ignited. Be sure to subscribe and join us for the next episode. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and keep igniting industry.